Today, I'm going to be ranking every single stadium card inside of the Pokemon TCG Standard Format 2025. I'm a competitive player. I finished in the top 300 in North America in my first season competing last year, so without further ado, let's get into it. Guys, without a doubt, the worst stadium card in the Pokemon TCG right now is the Paradise Resort. This thing is just atrocious. Even with the new Psyduck that's coming out in Mega Evolution that is actually really good, turning off Dusknoir, this card will just never be good. And I don't think it's supposed to be, and I'm honestly happy that the Worlds promos aren't good because I don't want another Tropical Beach situation again. Next up, we have Community Center, guys. This card is really atrocious. Even though it lets you heal 10 damage from each of your Pokemon if you play a supporter, which could be really good, there's just better options. If you're trying to heal damage from your Pokemon, you can use Picnic Basket or another stadium that we'll be getting to pretty soon. This card just doesn't provide enough value to be taking up a stadium slot, especially when there are better alternatives that also are stadium cards. Next up is the Granite Cave. This thing, I mean, it's a good card for Steven's Pokemon. The problem is that Steven's Pokemon just aren't good. Like, none of them are good. So there's no reason to really play this card, even if you are playing a Steven's deck. Let's say, for example, you were playing a Steven's Metagross deck, which again is terrible, but if you were, you probably still wouldn't include this stadium because reducing damage by 30, it's a defensive stadium, and in the Pokemon TCG, defensive stadiums are usually worse than ones that you can use right away because your opponent can just bump it and then the stadium basically did nothing, right? So not only are all the Steven's Pokemon abysmal, but this stadium is definitely not going to be the thing that's helping him out. Next up, we got Full Metal Lab. This thing is really not good. Again, like I said with Granite Cave, reducing damage on a stadium, it can be good. We've seen cards like this be okay sometimes in the past. The only real defensive stadiums that have seen success in the Pokemon TCG are ones that are super disruptive, like Silent Lab, which turns off basic Pokemon abilities, or obviously Path to the Peak, which turned off rule box Pokemon abilities, because the effects are so powerful that if they do stick in play, it's giving you such a huge advantage in the game that it's worth putting it into play. This card, though, reducing damage to metal Pokemon by 30 just isn't that impactful. Even decks that could theoretically play this, like Archaludon or Goldengo, have better options, and it just is not a great card in general. So it's not going to be buffing those decks. Next up, we got the Postwick. This is basically just because the Hops Pokemon suck. If the Hops Pokemon were good, this card would be pretty good. But in the current meta, the Hops Pokemon, they're doing terribly. Even like Hopzation, Hops Cramorant, Choice Band, they are all really in a bad spot right now. So if the Hops Pokemon become good again in the future, I could see this card being a little bit higher up, but right now it's not getting there. Next up, we have Calamitous Wasteland. This card, despite being a pretty defensive stadium like the Full Metal Lab and the Granite Cave, I have it a little bit higher because there are some Pidgeot control type strategies that could use this card. Like, let's say you were playing an LGM deck with Pidgeot, you can use this stadium, and if it does stick, it's providing insane value. Unlike Full Metal Lab and Granite Cave, which are providing really little value when they're on the board, this stadium actually does provide pretty good value because increasing retreat cost when combined with attacks like LGM Slight Shift, which moves your opponent's energy around in any way you like, is really valuable if you can pull it off. So the value of this card is a lot higher than the other defensive stadiums that have appeared so far, so I'm putting it a little bit higher than them. Next up is Calamitous Snowy Mountain. This thing is really niche and only sees play in some like off-meta Monkey Dory spread decks, but it is a little bit better than the other stadiums because you can actually use it on your turn. You can attach an energy to one of your bench non-water Pokemon, like say a Monkey Dory. You attach a Dark, and you basically get a plus 20 damage. So you could use it in situations like that. It only really sees play again in like niche off-meta Monkey Dory decks. But those decks, I don't know. There could be another time where this card is pretty good. We've seen formats in the past where damaging your own Pokemon is pretty valuable. So I don't want to rule this card's potential out, but right now it is really bad. Definitely better than the other cards on this list, though. Next up is Lively Stadium. This is another defensive stadium that is just not really great. Increasing basic Pokemon HP by 30 is really impactful on like a tool card that is hard to remove. We've saw Big Charm in the past be really good with the tag team Pokemon, but this card just being a stadium makes it worse. It just is really easy to play around with something like a counter stadium, and it's not providing insane value like a Path to the Peak would, so it's not even really that worth it to play when you have better options in most big basic decks that would want to play this in the first place. And also, you can just play Bravery Charm. So why would you need this card, which increases your HP by 30, when all basic Pokemon have access to Bravery Charm, which increases it by 50? Next up, we got Festival Grounds. This stadium, again, really, really niche. It sees play in, obviously, the Festival lead deck that is really bad. But its effect is pretty good because you can use it to heal your status conditions. Status conditions aren't really that popular right now, except for Monkey Dory's Mind Bend in Gardevoir. So this thing is like pretty niche. You could make a case to include it in some decks. It's definitely better than a lot of the other stadiums because you can actually get value out of it on your turn by healing your own status conditions. It's not the worst thing on earth. It's just that there are better stadium cards, and also you can just play, you know, Switch or Turo or something like that to heal your status conditions anyway. This really only sees play to, again, get around Mind Bend in decks that don't play many switching cards. Next up is Practice Studio. This card does see play pretty frequently in Crustle decks right now, and Crustle is like okay. I mean, you're taking an auto loss to Gardevoir, but you do beat Goldengo. You're good into Grimmsnarl, Charizard. Like, it's not the worst deck you could play right now, and this card is pretty good because it fixes some math. Crustle's attack does 120 damage for 3 energy, and Baby Raging Bolt, the Baby Raging Bolt in the Raging Bolt EX deck, has 130 HP. So this can be used to one-shot the Baby Raging Bolt and deny an extra hit. And when the Baby Raging Bolt is doing 130 for 3 energy, it's really impactful. So honestly, this being a staple in a somewhat good archetype is enough for me to not put it towards the bottom, which it would have been if it wasn't seeing play in Crustle right now. Next up is Team Rocket's Factory. The reason I have this higher than stuff like Granite Hill, which were also Pokemon specific or post-Swick, is because this effect is so strong. Like, any Team Rocket deck, this is an auto 4 of. Team Rocket decks obviously aren't great, but the effect of this stadium is way better than Granite Hill or even post-Swick, because drawing 2 whenever you play a Rocket supporter is broken. Nobody's doing this right now, but you could, in theory, pair this with Team Rocket's Petrol and maybe like Secret Box. You can Petrol for the Secret Box, get a ton of stuff, get Rocket Factory, draw 2. This card is a very, very powerful stadium. It's just not good right now. That's really it. It's a great card though. Next up is Cycling Road. This is a really good stadium, honestly. If you discard an energy from your hand, you draw a card once per turn. It's pretty good. I mean, it's half of a Radiant Greninja, but it doesn't take up your Radiant slot, and it's not a Pokemon liability on your bench. The problem with Cycling Road is that it often helps your opponent too. Your opponent, most decks in the format are okay discarding an energy, a basic energy, and drawing a card. Most decks can take advantage of it. Playing this against a Gardevoir deck is terrible because it helps them oftentimes more than you. Decks like Raging Bolt often like this too, Goldengo. So if you're playing this card, you're really only using it to help yourself, but you're helping your opponent so much because, first of all, the effect isn't actually helping you insanely, like, a lot, so it's not even that worth it to begin with. But also the fact that it helps your opponent so damn much is really why it's this low. Next up is the Grand Tree Ace Spec. This card is strong, but the problem is a lack of a fit, because in decks that would play this card, there's usually a better Ace Spec option. The only decks that really would play this are decks like a Pidgeot Control deck that's playing, you know, Team Rocket Petrol or whatever the hell Pidgeot Control is playing right now. But the effect, while being really good, is usually not worth your Ace Spec card because you can evolve your Pokemon without using your Ace Spec. But there are certain Ace Spec cards like Secret Box or Prime Catcher or Unfair Stance that do something that no other card in the game can. And when that's the case, it feels like Grand Tree is kind of not great compared to those to use as your Ace Spec slot, because you want your Ace Spec to do something unique for your deck, and this card, while it is good in evolution decks, isn't much better than playing more evolution Pokemon, TM Evo, and, you know, a good Ace Spec. Next up is Pokemon League Headquarters. This card is also a good card, just not great in the current meta because most decks, again, this is a defensive stadium, increasing attack cost. Your opponent bumps it, their attack cost is lowered. The effect is very strong though. If you throw this turn 1 against a Dragapult deck, it can completely throw off their game plan because then they have to attach to their Badoo in order to use Itchy Pollen, and sometimes they would have to bench Latias. It can help you a lot. This stadium is pretty good. But again, first of all, it's a defensive stadium, and second of all, it's not the most impactful thing on Earth, so it's not seeing much play. Next up, we got Beach Court. This stadium is good. Again, this thing has seen play in the past. It's a reprint of Sky Arrow Bridge, which is also a really good card. But the problem is that there is better retreat reduction in the format right now, obviously with Air Balloon. And if you're playing Air Balloon, you're probably playing Arven, meaning you have a lot of outs to the Air Balloon. But if you're playing Beach Court, first of all, it only works on basic Pokemon. Second of all, it can be removed by your opponent by them bumping your stadium, which is not as good as Air Balloon, which needs a Tool Scrapper or another stadium we'll talk about soon to get rid of. But this also helps your opponent. It can help your opponent in something like, I don't know, a Dragapult deck. You don't really want to help your opponent as much as yourself when there's a tool card that helps you, not your opponent, and is just better. Next up, we got the Neutralization Zone. This is the last A-Spec stadium card that's going to be appearing today. This card's effect is extremely powerful. But again, it's a very defensive stadium that only has value once the opponent has used all of their stadiums. So it's really easy to play around. Your opponent just needs to basically save one stadium bump out till the end of the game. And if you're playing a deck that even has a chance of having Neutralization Zone, like the Baby Roaring Moon to Dunsparce deck, then your opponent's probably going to save the stadium. And as soon as you play Neutralization Zone, they'll just bump it and your A-Spec card got no value. So if you're playing an A-Spec card, you want it to kind of, get value every time. Even Grand Tree gets value every time because you can play it and instantly evolve. But this card is very inconsistent, matchup dependent, and it's not really great because of that. Next up is Academy at Night. This card is actually super underrated right now, in my opinion, in Goldengo decks or any deck that is weak to Iono. Obviously, this card has seen play in some off-meta Slow King, like Twilight Inspiration, whatever the heck that deck is. But it is a really good stadium. We saw Oranguru from Sword and Shield base set was very good with this ability at the end and all throughout its lifetime in Standard to play around Marnie. And Iono is basically just a better Marnie, and it functions the same. So this card is very good at playing around Iono. You can put a card in your hand like a Boss's Orders on top of your deck so that if your opponent Ionos you, you draw into it right away, and you are able to often win the game because of this card. This card wins you a lot of games, but also, if you're playing a deck that you want to disrupt your opponent yourself with Iono, it helps them too, because they can rig their top deck with Academy and play around your disruption. That's the main reason why this card has only seen play in Goldengo decks, because not only can that let you use Chansey's ability with Redeemable Ticket or whatever the hell they're doing, that gimmick, I don't know, but you are also able to protect yourself from Iono, so it has value in a lot of situations if you're not planning to disrupt your opponent. This is a very good card. It's just, not very versatile. Next up is Town Store. This card is really just outshined by Arven, and how good Arven is right now in a lot of decks, because decks that play Arven have infinite more outs to their tool cards. And Town Store has seen play in the past because it was really good to be able to search a tool on a stadium, so you could maybe use it multiple turns. It's just not providing as much value as it used to anymore. Not really any great decks use this card, so I don't know. Also, the rotation of Forest Seal Stone and Sky Seal Stone, cards that you would often use with Town Store, it did hurt the card because now there's less value in using this. You can't Town Store for any card in your deck with Forest Seal Stone, so it's not particularly great right now, and I don't think it will be. End's Castle is up next. This is a good card in the End Zoroark deck, usually a 1 or 2 of. The problem is that it's only used in the Ends deck, and you also have Air Balloon as an extra way to retreat, so the utility that this card provides is often overshadowed by you could just play an Air Balloon in your deck. The one advantage is that Air Balloon is a tool, so it can get removed by stuff like Tool Scrapper. So you could play End's Castle to get around that and maybe just have free retreat on board. But it's also, just an inferior version of Air Balloon in most situations. So the niche that it does have in the End Zoroark deck is not even really that important anymore. So you could see this card getting cut, maybe down to a 1 of in that deck. And if it's not a necessity in the only deck that it's really good in, despite being good, I don't think it deserves much higher. Next up is Perilous Jungle. This card is really good in Poison Donk decks, which are okay. We saw Roaring Moon EX win a special event earlier this season with it. It really just replaced Radiant Hisuian Sneasler whenever that card rotated as a way to buff up poison damage. With Pecharunt, you can do 60 damage with poison while it's in the active. So this lets you get up to 80, which then lets you one-shot donk Pokemon like Ralts and Dreepy and stuff like that. So it's pretty impactful in the decks that it's good in, but it's just not a versatile card, obviously, because you need poison in your deck. And it's really just not that great overall as a card, so I can't put it much higher. At the number 9 spot, I've got Moonlit Hill. This card is very good in decks like Goldengo that need a way to get extra healing while also serving as a stadium bump. It's seen play in Gardevoir decks in the past, despite that not being the case anymore, and it probably won't be the case for a while. But this does fix a lot of math. It is a great healing card if you play Psychic Energy in your deck, and Goldengo alone playing this card and doing pretty well with it is enough for me to keep it this high. Although there are some other stadiums that we'll see later that are better in Goldengo. Next up is Gravity Mountain. This card also, like Moonlit Hill, fixes a lot of math. You are able to take one-hit knockouts with stuff like Pikachu that you weren't able to get before with this card. It's very impactful, but also seeing a little bit of a decline in play right now with how bad Joltik Box is in the meta right now, being so bad into Gardevoir. But I just don't really think this card is bad enough to warrant any lower of a placement. It's a great offensive stadium if you're playing a deck that you just barely are missing the one-shot on stuff like Dragapult or Charizard or Gardevoir. It's a great stadium inclusion that will get you those one-hit knockouts. At number 7, I've got Messagoza. This card is seeing play right now, actually, a lot more than it did before. It was seeing play in Lugia decks before rotation. Now decks like Charizard, and I've even seen Goldengo decks at recent tournaments doing well with this card. It's very luck-based, it's very gimmicky, but when it does flip heads, it's so impactful. It's a good thing to do to just roll the dice sometimes, and this thing can win you a game. You get that clutch Messagoza heads, get your Pidgeot out on Charizard, and then you're just rolling. So it's a very impactful card when it's working. The inconsistency, though, is very real. It's not very versatile, and I just don't think I can put it much higher than number 7 on the list because of that. Next up is Team Rocket's Watchtower. This is a great stadium for disruption right now. You are turning off abilities of some very impactful Pokemon. Obviously, Noctowl, Fan Rotom, Pidgeot. There's a lot of really powerful abilities that you turn off with this card. The problem, really, that keeps it from being much higher than it would have been, say, last format, is that most of these abilities aren't being used too much to the point where you would need to include this card as a tech in your deck. For example, Raging Bolt decks with Noctowl, they're good, but they're not so oppressive to the point where a lot of decks are teching Watchtower to beat it, because most decks already beat Raging Bolt, most decks that want to be good, and they have better ways to tech for it. Same with Terra Box. You have better ways to tech for Terra Box than Watchtower. You can play a Shaman, you can play a Vengeful Punch, you can play other techs for the decks that you would use this card against. And it's not seeing much play because of that, so I got to keep it at 6th place. Next up is Spikemuth Gym at number 5. This card is completely broken. It is the only reason Marnie's Grimmsnarl is able to function. If this card was never printed, Grimmsnarl would be a blip on the radar, not even that good. This card is so good in Grimmsnarl. You need to play 2 or 3 of these. Mostly you are playing 2. But it's so good. It's extra outs to basic Pokemon. It's ways to turn a secret box into a rare candy Grimmsnarl. You're so good with playing this card. It sticks in play for multiple turns sometimes, meaning you get even more value out of it. One Spikemuth is just enough to win you the game sometimes if it's not dealt with soon enough. The basic search, the evolution search in the Grimmsnarl deck, it can't function without it, and for that, I think it has to be number 5. Next up is Lavincia. This card is really, really good in Goldengo right now. A lot. Most Goldengo lists are playing Lavincia and 2 Lightning Energy. It's a great way to recover your energy without using a superior energy retrieval. it gets around stuff like Badoo and Jellicent and Frillish, which can be a bit annoying at times, and it's just an extra out to a game-winning play later in the game. If it sticks in play, it's getting huge value, saving you resources on knockouts. It's a great card, and Goldengo, most lists should be playing it, and it's really good. At number 3, I've got the Jamming Tower. This card is really good in Dragapult decks right now. Most Dragapult Dusknoir and straight Dragapult decks are playing Jamming Tower, and it's good in other decks too. Until Air Balloon came out, we saw a lot of Goldengo decks playing this. It's a great way to tech for Gardevoir in certain metas, especially this one with Henry Chow's list not really playing many ways to take big one at knockouts outside of a Bravery Charm Screamtail. So Jamming Tower is a great tech. This is just a great stadium. It can turn off stuff like the TMs and Grimmsnarl decks. It can turn off the Air Balloon and Goldengo. It's a great tech for that. And it's just a really annoying stadium to deal with sometimes, because if it sticks in play for a turn or two, it's often providing so much value that it's worth the inclusion. At number 2, I've got Area Zero Underdepths. This stadium is insanely broken. I don't know what they were thinking when they printed this, honestly. 8 bench Pokemon for any deck that plays a Terra Pokemon is ridiculous. Raging Bolt, Terra Box. Any deck that plays a Terra Pokemon should at least consider this card. And you can build decks in ways that you really couldn't before because of this card. It's incredibly powerful, and Raging Bolt and Terra Box have both seen good success recently, and they always play 3 or 4 of this stadium, so it's definitely worth the number 2 spot. At number 1, to no one's surprise, is Artisan. This stadium is so good right now. Gardevoir, Goldengo, Dragapult, any deck that plays evolving Pokemon, Charizard, Grimmsnarl, everyone is playing Artisan right now. It provides way more value than it really should. Your opponent, yes, they can use it, but if they use it and they don't bump it, you get 2 uses and then you can bump it. It's just so valuable to so many decks. You're searching Pokemon turn after turn around a Badoo lock against Dragapult. You're extending combos with a secret box that you otherwise couldn't get to before. This card is just fantastic. It's going to see play at the top level until it rotates, until that very day. It's just incredible, and no doubt the best stadium in the game right now. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I know this is a bit of a different video. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more videos like this. And yeah, that's about it. Take care. Have a good one.